What's going on, everybody? Mike here. If you'd like to join the ever-growing Fly Casual community, please take a moment right now to subscribe to our channel and share with a friend.
Make this a mini ep tonight so that we could all be taking it easy after the holidays.
And
now you guys are complaining.
Fans, what? Mike doesn't like you. He hates you. He wants you to have
He's
no
like,
eps.
Hey, like
I know that 30-minute ep last week. No good.
Yeah,
right?
if that wasn't short enough for you, strap in.
This is going to be super long. Don't lie.
Long.
Yeah,
and we're done.
This one, we're gonna make sure this one drags on into oblivion.
We're gonna be up until 3 in the morning.
Well, wasn't there a text exchange about reanalyzing The Last Jedi? Is that what we're doing tonight?
Yeah, didn't Howie and Garrick specifically want to reanalyze The Last Jedi?
I want you guys to reanalyze The Last Jedi so that I can just walk out, go to Taco Bell, and come back and be perfectly happy and fine.
I'll walk out of my house, drive to Fort Wayne, and get Taco Bell with Howie.
And then go back home immediately.
And we would still have plenty of time to finish up the episode with you guys.
I'll grab my tacos and drive home, and then I'll be all right.
Well, we will save the reanalyzing of The Last Jedi for another time. Instead, the big news this week, guys. Rolling Stone interview with Kathleen Kennedy.
Wait, what?
Has hit the newsstand or web or wire or whatever the heck it hits anymore.
Reddit? Was it on Reddit?
I don't know if anybody actually buys that.
Of course it was. Everything's on Reddit.
Everything's on Reddit.
I don't understand why these publications don't just post on Reddit directly.
Some do.
They should.
I mean, all.
Directly.
Not some, all.
All right, so this is a big interview with Kathleen Kennedy. Actually, it was shorter, smaller than I thought it was when I got into it. But
she said
there were some pointed questions in this, and actually it was fairly interesting. Did you guys actually read it?
I did.
Cover to cover.
Cover to cover, huh? I know.
Bookend to bookend.
Yep.
Bookend to
I read all 7 years.
Whoa.
And then I broke the last one into 2 movies.
All right. So there was a question that was posed right out of the gates, and this is the one that everybody's kind of tweaking on this week.
Are they tweaking?
Question was, Jurassic World director Colin Trevorrow was slated to write and direct episode 9 before he brought J.J. Abrams in.
Wow.
Is this final entry in the trilogy a particularly hard nut to crack? Her response was, every one of these movies is a particularly hard nut to crack. There's no source material. Wow. We don't have comic books. We don't have 800-page novels. No. We don't have anything other than passionate storytellers who get together and talk about the next iteration and what that might be.
Let me just say, Kathleen Kennedy is out of touch with reality at this point.
I feel like I know what she thinks she's trying to say.
Exactly. I did too. But she's so out of touch.
At this point, in a fandom, in a world, in a fandom divided by the haves and have-nots.
She's
sitting here
Big Brother now?
Where she's just like coming right out and just be like, we don't got all the stuff that we got.
She sounds like
I think she's
somebody else I know.
She's trying to
essentially
say
what I think she was trying to say is that we don't have a novel that we're drawing from for Rise of Skywalker, right? That's what she's attempting to say.
But
the larger question, though,
is if Kevin Feige ran in the room and went, "Excuse me, if I may." This is my Kevin Feige voice.
It's fanboy.
He's like, no, he's related to Hogmus, I think. if I may, we have lots of
explain a lot.
We have lots of source material. Am I getting close to like a relative of Hogmus?
Getting close to strong sad.
I'm sad that I'm flying. The Marvel movies don't exactly have comic books. I mean, you could have they adapted the Infinity Gauntlet, right?
Loosely.
Okay, yeah, that's the point. All of them have been drawing from the ideas. All of them have been drawing from the ideas of several different sources that they have.
Yes. What do they call those?
Yes. Source materials, I believe.
Source material used as used as inspiration.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the key point here. Used as inspiration.
And it's kind of like, there's Kevin Feige can leave the room, but oh my gosh, what now? Listen, I'm all for like stop railing on Kathleen Kennedy for everything, but when she says things like this,
no, not me.
I gotta imagine. I know, but I gotta imagine there's like a PR handler that's just going out in the street, dousing himself in gasoline, and setting himself on fire.
Yeah.
It just, I saw, and again, obviously, you know, the fandom menace side of the Star Wars fandom has been like, see, yep, there it is. Told you, you know. But I've seen a lot of people who I would call like the hire me please Disney people, the suck ups, who've been like, oh,
everybody was kind of like,
did she really just say that?
Yeah, there was no defending that.
No,
at all.
I didn't see anyone defending it at all. It's just like Kathleen Kennedy. Now we're just really starting to wonder if nobody's told you about the EU. Like if no one mentioned it, when we all decide we're going to ignore it, it's because you didn't know about it and everyone was afraid to say it or something.
Have you ever watched Star Wars?
You know, I have been on some threads and some, you know, discussions where there has been an attempt by a small few people to try to, oh, you know, the EU is trash and, you know, it was junk and it was never that good and blah, blah, blah. And I keep pulling my hair out of my head because, again, it's not about adapting word for word these novels or these stories. It's about drawing bits and pieces and inspiration out to put together a nice story that makes sense in the cinematic world.
Well, don't worry, guys. It looks like
a TV show.
Yeah. Yeah. And it kind of seems like to me that
a certain one,
all the leaks that we're hearing about episode 9 is that it sounds like episode 9 is going to be pretty much a Hail Mary about drawing in concepts from the trailer. Hail Mary of EU concepts like the big giant hidden fleet.
In fact, it really won't make sense put together, but everybody will be happy.
Yeah.
It's just random. I'm kidding about that.
Yeah, we're just pulling random stuff out of the EU.
You're not kidding.
No, it's going to be the worst thing on the
half
world.
Droid, half using Vaughn. This makes no sense.
No, it's actually going to be. It's going to be worse than The Last Jedi.
That's Howie level setting. Can't get disappointed if you drop the goalpost that part of the ground.
Trolling himself and me at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, what's going on?
It's like, I mean, I feel like you got to give it a shot, but I mean, I don't know some of the
Mike?
stuff.
I'll probably go see it. I'll probably go see it.
Mike better go see it. I bought him
I'm
ticket.
seeing it.
I'm going to show up.
I didn't say I wasn't going to see
I
it.
bought him a ticket in the back row.
I'm still somewhat excited. I'm trying to temper my expectations, but
well, you're not doing a very good job, Mike.
Yeah,
we'll
you're not tempering my expectations well enough. And because of that, I'm forced to drink. You've driven me to drinking.
Everybody drink.
I have a couple times already. I'm going right out of this bottle of Pendleton's.
What?
Yeah.
I wish I had something. I didn't have enough time to go out and get anything tonight.
If you didn't drink yourself dry as a bone every time you sat down to take a swig, you'd have something sitting around.
I know.
Yeah, that's true. And lack of forethought on your part is.
My only problem is that this is a really heavy, large bottle.
Is Corey's only problem.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's interesting. I got this beer, and I've never tried it before, but it tastes like I'm sucking on a hop.
Well, there's that.
Disgusting. So there you go. Yeah. That's what I'm drinking. And that's been what you drinking.
Chewing hops.
One of the next questions I asked, essentially she alludes to the fact that they really don't have a direction going forward after episode 9. The question was, so you truly haven't decided yet what's next? Her response, no, we've got various things we're looking at and various ways in which we can begin or not. As you can imagine, you go back and forth. Do you go forward?
Make a movie or not a movie?
All those questions are being asked. The funny thing is,
are you aware of the most popular television show in existence
of all time?
Well, dude, okay, don't give me some. I mean, this is one of those things where there's people questioning how involved she actually is anymore.
It sounds obviously that first thing was a bombastically out of touch style statement, but it's starting to sound like it's just enough to question, does she really know what's going on? It really is. And
there's people I don't question that. And seriously, but there are people that are questioning that
either, but I don't blame people for drawing that.
Yeah, I don't either. Because that just seems completely out of touch. Just completely.
Well, part of it might just be she knows, but she doesn't want to say anything.
Yeah. I'm sure the defenders would say
with
that.
The upcoming movies and stuff, not the
true. You don't want to commit to something and then have everybody get upset when it doesn't happen. Like
well,
the Boba Fett
to be honest, and that's probably, I mean, I guess to her defense, that's probably the right way to go because they've up to this point they've blown their load constantly.
Well, and then as soon as
always blown up in their face,
started handing out movies like candy,
right,
to Benioff and Weiss. And
I'll do one.
Oh, this goes back to Josh Trank,
Johnson,
man.
And now, of course,
as tribute.
Benioff and Weiss are kicked to the curb because they can't be committed enough, right? And no one, well, okay, I shouldn't say that. That's not true. The majority of people don't believe the Rian Johnson trilogy is a thing. Like they trotted all these announcements like, yay! And now it's still all just like, oh no, it's like before where no one actually knows what's happening. People are getting fired.
That's the thing. Well, instead of waiting, and having these discussions and letting these people like Benioff and Weiss actually develop something before they start making announcements.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like they just jumped the gun because they're so excited and they want to, I don't know who they're trying to impress. I mean, obviously there's a lot. Well, yeah, I mean, the fandom, but it keeps blowing up in their face. You think at some point they would learn and maybe like Garrick saying, maybe they've learned the lesson and she's just zipping the lip, but I don't know. It's hard to say, I guess, at this point.
At this point, if they made an announcement, any announcement, oh yeah, Bob Zemeckis is going to do a Star Wars film.
Weird.
Would you even believe it?
No,
I don't believe anything they say anymore. It's you've got like 64, or at this point, are we at about a 50-50 or 60-40 chance that whatever they're saying they're doing, they're not going to do? And I'm being totally serious. I'm not.
Honestly,
I'm not trying to hyperbolize. It's about 50-50 now, right?
They'll even show like teaser trailers, and like half the stuff they show is not even in the movie. So
yeah, Rogue One. Yeah,
that's true.
You get that far along, and you're still getting just your chain pulled, just yanking your chain.
Yeah.
I want to read this next one and just kind of see what you guys' reaction is to this because
I love reacting to stuff.
I get this feeling.
I'm probably going to hate it.
Probably
words,
start a podcast where
essentially the question is, how did Marvel's Kevin Feige come into the mix? And she responds,
the heck is even going on there?
He's probably just down the hall.
Kevin has been a huge Star Wars fan, and he's made that pretty clear. And I think when he went off to do a couple of Spider-Man movies, he realized he could kind of step in and out of what he's doing, specifically with Marvel. He talked to us and he talked to the studio and said, is there any chance I could step in and do one of these Star Wars here movies? And I thought, it's a pretty good idea.
That's all you gotta do.
We're just beginning to talk about that and what that might look like, but that's a ways off. I don't know. When I first read this, my impression, I guess, was she doesn't seem real thrilled about it. I don't know. That's the impression I got.
Yeah.
About him kind of walking in. And I still don't know how that came to be. Obviously they didn't go to him.
How old?
I mean, she's made that clear.
How old are all these people and how old do they think they'll be when they carry out any of these things? It's probably a ways off. Like what, like 12, 20 years? I mean, are you drinking the elixir? What's going on? Who's carrying around the Carpenter's cup to keep everybody alive long enough to do this at some point?
No, I think Lucas held on to that actually.
Yeah, it's probably
the elixir.
It's probably in his cabinet at the Skywalker Ranch with the
Kevin Feige's only 46, man. He's a young buck.
He is. I don't know. That's like ancient by our standards.
But he is 6 feet tall, so
ooh, I mean that's not good.
Tall people age worse.
The Kevin Feige talk obviously has waned a little bit since The Mandalorian has come out. And actually, it went from Kevin Feige's taking over Lucasfilm to Jon Favreau's taking over Lucasfilm.
Oh, well, I haven't heard that one. That's a new one.
Oh, yeah. That's been the last couple, 2-3 weeks. that Jon Favreau's, that he's got his foot in the door.
Newsflash, Jon Favreau doesn't suck. Takes over Star Wars.
Here's an interesting tidbit, guys. Jon Favreau is 53 years old.
Yes, I knew that. I think I knew that.
You do now.
Yeah. Got a little bit more life left in him.
As of the last reporting.
A few more years.
So I don't know. I mean, you guys have any thoughts on that? I mean,
tidbit?
Yeah.
What's that?
You're going to piss off Porkins Kid real bad.
Dave Filoni, 45 years old.
Yep.
Yep. No,
Mike, how old are you?
46.
You're older than Dave Filoni.
Oh man, what are you doing with your life?
Dave.
You should be making
that guy's so old.
I'm not making the Mandalorian. That's for damn sure.
You guys forget that Mike's rolled over a couple times on his odometer.
Mike's prestige.
Yep, my odometer's past 100,000 miles.
Unfortunately, he was forced to carry all of his equipment forward into his new game.
Do I really want a prestige? I'll just go back to a pistol.
He's like
whatever.
Like 3-star diamond level right now, guys.
Yeah,
we still steamroll him.
Yeah, we do. Oh yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Oh man, freaking Hanzo mains.
What do you guys think about this Kevin Feige stuff?
Special place in hell for Hanzo main. I'm just saying.
Kevin Feige, I don't know what to make of any of it now. Like before, a couple months ago, whatever, it was like, oh yeah, cool. He seems to understand how to work with non-existent source materials and actually weave something out of it, provided, that he's been some degree of heavy involvement in all of the Marvel films and planning and things like that, which I think is pretty much everyone's understanding of it. But at the same time, it just still seems far-fetched. So the way that KK is responding to it doesn't really surprise me that much, because it seems like, oh, this would be cool. Yeah, that'd be cool. We'd be okay with it. Neato. And we got nothing.
I'm still trying to figure this out, because I feel like the Kevin Feige thing came once they realized that Benioff and Weiss were leaving, right? And they had already made that big announcement that we have a new movie in 2022, right?
Yeah,
so I kind of felt like that the Kevin Feige thing was like, oh, hurry up, put someone in place.
What?
Okay, there's our placeholder.
Kevin Feige, Ryan Johnson done with Knives Out.
Yeah, they're
made all the money.
It's just not happening, man.
Do we all on this podcast, are we all operating under, and I'm not saying with certainty, but under the vague assumption that Ryan Johnson isn't going to be making another Star Wars movie?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to hear otherwise.
Anytime soon. Actually, there's been talk about him.
I'm shocked that Mike said not anytime soon instead of not a chance in hell, because I feel like that's what Mike would normally say.
We've got Mike, so
yeah, Mike tonight.
Got the wrong Mike.
Garrick, do you seriously think they would actually have RJ do another feature film?
No,
I don't either. Like even if I just try to pretend that, okay, the 10% of fans who are always on Twitter crapping on the toxic fans, because I see that way more than I see the toxic fans, and I've had to go looking for the toxic fans to even make sure they exist. They do. Let me clarify.
Yeah, there's assholes out there. Sure.
Yeah, there but there's also active, passionate fans who've just given over to, all right, if you're gonna treat us like assholes, we're just gonna act like assholes. There's that too. There are the Vaders that we created. Okay, let's not mistake. There's trolls and beeholes and horrible people, and there's also fans that have felt so marginalized that they're just going, all right, we're gonna act the way you say we are. That all exists, but most of what I've seen has been the other side of it. And I try to look at it from their point of view, the people who are, just constantly like, these are great movies, they're groundbreaking, blah, blah, blah. Okay, fine, disagree, but fine, we're all happy people, right? I still, trying to look at it from that point of view, cannot see them giving RJ another film. Because the only thing that I can check off is that the movie made all the money.
Yeah.
That's the only thing in which some people think that's all that matters. I'm like, I don't know.
It was it was profitable, but it was, in terms of, when you start looking at percentages and how it breaks down, against other movies in the franchise, blah, blah, blah. There was a big dip, and remember, it only lasted in China 1 week.
And I honestly would love to know if Netflix is sitting there going, we paid how much for this? Like, if Netflix is looking at it and going, there's not as many people watching this as we expected. Like, that would be my personal assumption.
Yeah.
I'm curious.
I don't know if there's any way to know. I don't know if there's any way to know that, but
they know that, but they don't tell anybody anything.
No,
they know when you watch their crappy Christmas movies like 30 times a day.
Oh,
and they post it on Twitter. Call you out.
Really?
Well, you mentioned RJ. Actually, they do
the Christmas Prince or whatever.
Yeah.
They put somebody on blast. They didn't name him, but they said they've watched it over 1,000 times.
Wow, that's pretty.
That was a while ago. It was pretty funny. We should have been there.
I was. Not there.
They actually asked KK about Ryan Johnson in this article, and just kind of to your point, I mean, she just kind of skirted around on, and complimented him. It was a good film and blah, blah, blah. But, going back to what we're talking about with new movies and will he ever get one or not, I really feel like, now's the time. If they were going to be giving him one, they'd be all over it.
That's
what I mean?
That's what I think I was trying to allude to and failed miserably at, is that of all, if he was going to get locked in, we don't know what I don't know what his next project is. If you follow
him, I still follow him and I still read his articles and the things that he says and whatnot. He almost, in interviews anymore, when people ask him about The Last Jedi, he just he's still got a smile on his face, but you can just kind of like, oh God, again.
Yeah.
He's done with,
at the same time, he says he wants to direct Mando.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but you know why he said that? Because he had a direct question. Hey, would you like to direct The Mandalorian?
Yeah.
Well, what's he going to say?
No, I didn't mean to make it sound like he's out, like knocking on locked doors or anything like that. But
right.
but the point is,
I'd probably say yes.
Right now, they've got nothing in the gun after announcing a ton of things in the gun.
Right.
A ton of bullets. They got nothing for the feature films. It seems like this would be the time to say if they were going to do it.
Right.
They got to keep hype up for the movie. Especially,
yes, maybe like
right.
by February. They're saying there's announcements coming around February time range, so that's fair.
Yeah, they got to keep up the hype for this and the Mandalorian at least through the end of this year, and then next year they
ain't got to do jack for hype about the Mandalorian.
Yeah, I'm guessing like once the Clone Wars drops, the finish. I don't know if it's dropping all at once, or whatever. They'll probably start seeing some things about Obi-Wan, and I think that'd be a good place.
Yeah,
probably won't see anything till Celebration Anaheim. Actually, I'm thinking.
I think that's probably when it comes to feature film announcements. That's we're getting them every couple of months for a hot minute there, and that just is egg on everybody's face right now.
Yeah,
so
they could announce something coming out in 2 years. Like, oh, what's this coming out 2022? I think people would be all right.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that would be wise if they held off with any more announcements all the way about feature films specifically.
Yeah, just go out 2 years at a time. Don't do that timeline. Well, this is coming out in 2037. Right. Yep. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna be alive. Right. I'm gonna be dead.
Seriously.
I really, it feels like they're zipping the lip and maybe doing it a little bit better. I hope they've learned a lesson through all of this.
It's funny because I felt like they were doing a bunch of announcements. It felt to me like it was damage control. Right. After Last Jedi was, hotly debated, and then Solo financially flopped, I felt like they were trying to just be like, no, everything's fine. Look at all this cool stuff we're doing. And literally all of it has shit the bed since then. So I think, I like the idea. Well, Mandalorian hadn't come out yet. I like the idea of maybe doing some TV announcements in the February timeframe and then holding off any feature film until Celebration. I think that would actually be great.
What would be perfect is Solo, comes to Disney Plus, May, June,
I believe, June or July.
June. That'd be awesome if it came to June. Like, oh yeah, by the way, we're going to do this TV series and we're going to finish the story.
Heck, yes.
It won't happen, but that would be incredible.
It sure won't, but it would have been awesome.
I'd like to see it, but
come on, KK, do it.
I don't remember who I saw on Twitter. It might have been Brian Altano from IGN.
Even if Bryce Dallas Howard directed all the episodes,
it's still fine. It's still fine.
I know you're only one step away.
Her ep was fine. I liked her.
Yeah,
honest to God, I think it was Brian Altano on Twitter who said he wishes that he rewatched Solo and he goes, I still really like this movie, and I wish it would have been an episodic series like The Mandalorian because he thinks it would have done way perfect. Better. And I thought about that and I was like, normally those hot takes don't resonate with me, but I was like, wow, I think people would have freaking loved that if it were a series, but maybe I love the movie anyways. I don't know.
That's why they're doing Obi-Wan as a series because they know.
Yep.
It's going to be good.
Well, I think they're going to be bolder now with the success of The Mandalorian. I think they're going to look a lot more closely at TV.
Like cool stuff.
Yes. Man. Try different things.
I'm telling you, man. I've been
saying it since they bought the damn franchise. Sorry, I hit this Pendleton's a little hard and fast.
That's all right. Real quick, wrapping up on KK, they did ask her how much longer she's going to do this. She kind of danced around, but I really got the impression, I don't know what you guys thought,
powerful woman.
That I feel like at the end of her 2021, September 2021, I have a feeling she's just walking away and that's it. It's done. And she's done her penance. She's done her 10 years or whatever it's been.
Going to go back to doing what she loves.
Yeah.
Producing
big movies. So you almost, when you read this, she mentions George a few times, and I really feel like she did that out of obligation she felt to him. You know, I don't know that she really even wanted this job. You know, all that. I mean, I think she was flattered by it, and I think, you know, she definitely, you know, did the best she could with it. But I'm not sure that maybe deep in her heart she really wanted this, you know, other than, like, again, the promptings of George Lucas.
I don't know that she did the best she could. Again, I have no desire to rag on KK. The woman produced literally 90% of the movies that I love the most. Literally.
But you know, in any other franchise, any other movie, whatever, I mean, she'd do great. It's just when you're in Lucasfilm and you're working with Star Wars, I think the person at the top has got to have a focus and a determination on story.
Yeah.
And that's just not her strong point. That's not her strong suit.
And that may well be. That may that I feel like it's fair to say that we have no reason to think that that's where she would excel. And we have no reason to think that that's where she has focused. I don't think. Especially from some of the rumors that we hear from, from what has gone on inside Lucasfilm over the last year or two, it sounds like there wasn't a lot of control in story, or at least it wasn't the type of control one might expect.
Right. That's one of the things I'm least thrilled about, or most disappointed about, maybe, since the Disney takeover, was that we got the impression early on. I remember us doing podcasts about what, hey, they're going to have this team of, people that are going to, the continuity team, remember all that stuff. It's going to be, this is going to be so tight, and it's going to be, it's going to be all about story, and we're going to wrap things up. And it's just
at the very best, the canon that they have woven is about as tight as it was in the EU.
Yep.
When we're talking just like continuity and actual tightness and stuff like that, I'm like, it's about. It
wasn't any better than it was before. Yeah, because what we were talking about just this the other day, we were talking about Finn, I think, on Discord, and I think Garrick brought this up that, I think I was reading one of the comics, and I mean, basically Finn in the comics that I've been reading is like comic relief. He's like on his butt half the time.
Well, I'm sorry, I'm gonna crap on comics for a minute. If you take comics and a movie franchise, you always get an exaggerated version of the character.
No, I get it, but that's not that wasn't the setup for that character, right?
Yeah, that's your point. It's that what you get from Finn from the movies, if you exaggerate it, he just becomes a dumbass.
Yeah, which that really novel
sucks, because John Boyega is better than that, and the character could have been way better than that. And Star Wars doesn't need a dumbass.
Right.
You don't need a Josh Gad in every Star Wars film. I'm not calling Josh Gad dumbass, but like,
I mean, in the EU that they had set up with the novels, they were setting him up to be, he was like head of his group, and he was, a strong stormtrooper.
Combat. He was a squad leader.
Yeah.
He was like competent at like warfare.
And honestly, even in Force Awakens, I know he had his goofy moments with Rey, but still, I chalk that up to his infatuation with her. I still never saw him as a weak link.
The problem with him is that he was a nervous talker. That's what really undid him in the Force Awakens.
A little bit. Yeah.
Not a little bit. To comical degrees. I still
liked the setup there, because I liked the idea that here's a stormtrooper, and he's just trying to run away, and he's AWOL, but he meets this girl and he's infatuated with her, so he's torn. That setup was great.
Yeah.
And I really feel like his character out of all of them has been the one that's fallen the flattest for me.
Yeah.
And I think that's a shame, because I think John Boyega is a good actor, and I like the character of Finn, and it's sad to see how that's kind of fallen by the wayside, and which goes again to the whole story and, continuity between, what you're saying, Corey, about, at best, this is just as good as the old EU and what's now Legends, because, one writer does one thing with, the character, and then another writer does something else.
Every time Barbara Hamley wrote Han and Leia, they were just playing grab ass constantly. Like literally, they were 2 seconds away from closing the door and porking in the other room. And in every
that's
scene,
how they got them twins, baby.
Every scene, Han and Leia were horny as balls when Barbara Hamley was writing. And we're like, all right, we get it. But it's just what you're saying. Different authors focused on different things, had different things that they did. But I don't know. John Boyega has said that, because someone expressed on Twitter, man, I really want to like these movies. But like your character, I really wish you did more cool stuff instead of crappy stuff. I'm paraphrasing.
Yep.
And John Boyega came back and said, hey, I know how you feel. And look at episode 9, because I said that he needs to be a little bit more of a BA.
Yep.
Which was a real stand-up response from him. Mad respect.
Good for you.
Yeah.
I like that guy.
Yeah, good guy.
Show enough.
Good dude.
We hope you enjoyed this special edition of Fly Casual. If you haven't already, please subscribe and rate us at iTunes, Stitcher, and all your favorite podcast locations. It is important that you rate us so that we can reach more and more people. As always, be sure to check out the show notes at betterkind.com. There are also many, many ways to join in on the conversation. Follow us on Twitter at FlyCasual1138. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/FlyCasualPodcast. We are also now on YouTube, so please take a moment right now to subscribe and ding the bell for updates. We are also now on Discord as well. Lots of opportunities to chime in. Reach out and say hi. Talk to you soon.